What happens at laser tag never stays at laser tag.
Laser Unfocused Tag Talk.
Laser Unfocused Tag Talk.
I feel like you could be like in Ghostbusters or something.
Oh my God, you have got some stories.
Let's talk about laser tag.
Who knew you were a laser tag legend?
Time to get laser unfocused. Tag Talk with Tivia.
Welcome to Laser Unfocused Tag Talk. Hi, I'm Tivia. Today we visit with a laser tag operator in the United Kingdom for his perspectives and advice for potential operators based on his personal experience. I'd like to welcome Gavin Taylor, who is a laser tag operator, owner of Battle Sector X with locations in Rochester and Whitstable in the United Kingdom. And he's here to share a little bit of his experience and some advice for potential laser tag operators on how they might get a business started as well. So welcome, Gavin. Glad to have you here with me.
Hi, you're right.
Now, you have two locations now, and there's a story along the way. So I'd love to hear your personal story and tell me a little bit about when and how did you get into the laser tag business?
Well, I got into laser tag after leaving being a chemistry teacher. I was teaching 11 to 18-year-olds. I was a scout leader for many years as well. And so I felt I needed to change my life, and I was looking for something to do, so I decided to go into laser tag after looking at other things I could have done.
Had you been a laser tag player prior to that?
Only that I took my scouts to various laser tags around the UK while they were on camp and things. So no, the answer is no, I was not a player beforehand. And I just thought I'd give it a go.
Very good. And how did you grow into having two businesses?
That was an interesting one. I started Rochester in 2016, and I didn't expect it to grow like it did. It started off slow and then just blossomed, so much so that I had to start asking for help from family to make sure that I could keep up with the business. So I started by asking my wife to help me get some stock in on the weekends because I was running out of stock because it was getting busy. And then gradually she's had to help me more and more. And so now she works for us as well. And she's the money lady, and I'm the crazy one that builds it and changes it and does all that side of things. So we then got involved in COVID. I come back from the laser tag convention in 2020. Literally the week later, everything started closing down. And then we in the UK had a lockdown, which we managed to come out of. During that period, the laser tag that was in Whitstable originally shut up shop because it was really hard. I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of people that were struggling. The government were doing the best they could for us. But we maybe got a head start because after coming off of the laser tag convention, people were starting to talk about it. And so I got a heads up that I needed to be a bit more proactive. So during that first lockdown, we made our first building COVID secure. And then I approached the landlord for Whitstable and said, can I have your building for the next 10 years, please? And at that point, he said yes. So I moved to Whitstable, and my wife Lucy took over Rochester, and I started building. And I literally built both Rochester and Whitstable with my own hands. It's not usual for an operator to do that, but I like to be involved in that process and understand how it all works. So,
tell me a little bit about your business model. Do you have other attractions? Are you a standalone laser tag?
Rochester, we just got laser tag, and we have some arcades for people to play in. Fundamentally, our main business plan is to focus on kids' birthday parties, which is our bread and butter. But we have just recently introduced VR escape rooms, which is an interesting concept. It seems to go quite well with the laser tag, but it wouldn't stand up by itself. It needs the laser tag to keep it flowing.
So that's your activity that sort of fills the time in between the games so that there's always something for somebody.
Yes, yeah. And a lot of people in the UK still don't understand the concept of how can you do an escape room in a virtual world. And so we have a shorter game, a 10-minute game that we use to introduce them to it, give them a feel of how it works. A lot of people are nervous around putting things on their face after COVID, but we ease them into it gently, and they seem to appreciate it. So they do come back and do play our games. So.
Very nice. Now, you've gone through the process of starting a business yourself. What kinds of things would you suggest a potential laser tag operator contemplate as they're putting their plans together? And where do you even begin the process of starting out a laser tag business?
Well, I mean, I've done two now, and the first one was in a slightly different environment. It wasn't COVID, so I'm going to talk about the first one mainly. But the key thing is you want to be sort of, as an operator, 100% committed to it. You need to enjoy it. For me, it was a massive step away from someone else controlling my destiny to me being able to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. Having said that, going into the laser tag industry, it's not always like that. Sometimes you have things that dictate to you. You've got bills to pay and you've got staff to deal with. It shouldn't put you off, because it is a refreshing experience if you've been in a career, shall we say. So when I started, the key thing is I wanted to make sure I got the right system for me. And I started off with Zone Helios Pro, and I loved the Zone Helios Pro system. I walked into the office at Leicester, where it was being sold from, and I said, I'd like to buy some laser tag, please. Can you show me what you've got? And the gentleman that was there, I'm not going to mention names, showed me the Helios Pro and said, well, we've just had this release. And this is back in 2016. So Helios Pro was very new at that point. And in fact, I was so gobsmacked with it, because it had the screens on the back of the phasers and it could do so much, that I put a deposit down straight away. Now, the thing is, I put a deposit down and hadn't thought about, but I need a building. I need somewhere to do it. So what I would honestly say to you is, if you're interested in it, don't put your money down first. Don't buy it first. Get the ideas, check out other competition as well, because each laser tag has their own different things. Since 2016, I've had Helios Pro, and then I've recently moved into Laser Force, and at Whitstable we have Gen 7 laser tag, and then at Rochester we've just swapped over to Gen 8. But the key things that I think you need to think about as an operator is location. Okay, there's no point in putting a laser tag where there's no call for it. So I would honestly say you need to understand the market as well. Know what type of customers potentially walk through the door. And so when I was looking at Rochester in particular, I had to think about, is there a big enough population where I am to support it for the amount I wanted to earn? I've played at lots of sites in the US, and they're a lot bigger than what we do in the UK. And they draw a lot more of crowd because the units tend to be bigger and have multiple activities. Whereas I'm almost a standalone in the fact that it's just laser tag at Rochester. So yes, location is very important. You need to understand whether you can also get a building in the area as well, or real estate. I had to, in the UK, we have buildings that we can use for certain purposes. Otherwise, we have to approach the council and change the use of it. And so with Rochester, the first building that I looked at, the landlords were more interested in the pennies coming in than actually understanding what my business was about. So the first building I looked at didn't come to fruition. It was only when I looked at this building I'm in now, and the landlord was open and opened a dialogue with me that he could understand what I was looking to achieve. And then he was really good to me, gave me the time to do the change of use so that I could use that building for laser tag, because it originally wasn't used for laser tag. And I had to go through a process which took 6 months, but I pushed through, made sure that I got all the T's crossed and the I's dotted, so that if any of the councillors had any questions, I could answer that before they asked it, sort of thing. So be prepared. It's not just as simple as, oh, let's get a building and let's do it. There's a few hurdles you need to jump through. You need to understand things like fire regulations. Parking could be a thing as well. And in this day and age, also, whether it's got any EV parking as well. In the UK, we're having a big push towards electric cars. My sites currently don't have chargers, but it's potentially worth an investment because it's another thing to draw people to the building. The other thing as well is, has there been any precedents before? So has there been a laser tag before? Because laser tag's been around quite a few years now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just a fad as originally it was thought that it might be. And so, yeah, do the historic research as well. Check whether there's been anything that's been like that before. And luckily, I had one where I live in Rochester. There was one previously. It was a quasar, or QSAR as you call it in America. And so there was presence there already. And the councillors would understand a little bit more about what it is, rather than not understanding how it all works and what it's designed to do. So I got the building sorted finally, but I also needed to understand, well, okay, look, I've gone from being a teacher to how do I run a laser tag? What's good in a laser tag? What's bad in a laser tag? And so for about 6 months, while I was waiting for the change of use to come into play, I dragged my whole family. And at the time, I had my wife, my 14-year-old daughter at the time, and my other daughter who was 8 months old. And I dragged them to about 60 different laser tags across the UK. And the way I took it is we all played our roles. I was the dad that was up for playing laser tag. Samantha was my 14-year-old who wanted to play laser tag, and my younger daughter was still having to be looked after by mum because she couldn't play. And so, yes, we did 60 different laser tags, and I can tell you, Lucy was sick of it in the end, because she wasn't going to get involved. She was going to stay as a teacher. But the way we took it is we took the good things away with us and left the bad things behind. And that really paid dividends, because each laser tag, and you know this, has lots of different things that make it good and lots of things that aren't so good. So it's worth understanding the market as well. Go and visit competitors. I'll be honest with you, I didn't mention that I was going to be a competitor or anything like that, but it's worth having a look. And then if you feel they're approachable, because not everyone is approachable, you can actually sort of introduce yourself saying, look, I'm really looking to start a laser tag. You got any advice? And yes, I've met some really nice operators in the UK. Well, in fact, I've met nice operators, not just in the UK, but across the world now. Because I've got so into it that I've been helping the museum. I've spoken at the Laser Tag convention, and it's opened doors to me to be able to go and see different laser tags in different countries. So I've now played in the US. I've played in France. I've played in Belgium. I've played in Holland, and obviously I've played in the UK myself. And each country has their ways of doing things as well, and their preferred brands as well. I'm not going to lie, there are preferred brands. I was happy to take on Zone at the time, so I went with that. And again, you have to think about things like insurance as well. You can't just start a business and not cover it, because if someone has an accident, it does hurt the business, whether we like it or not. Accidents do happen. Be realistic. As an ex-teacher, I used to have to do risk assessment as well. You need to be prepared to. I mean, I introduce people, myself to people as I'm everything from the cleaner to the HR manager to the person that does all the maintenance, to the host that hosts the party, sort of thing. And I was quite lucky because by the time we were opening, my eldest daughter wanted to work for me. And so we went to Leicester. Again, making contact is really useful. I can't understate how much it is to find people that can give you a little insight, or even prepared just to give you like little snippets. And so I went to Leicester and I spent a weekend up there with my daughter, and we learned how to run parties. Brilliant. Really helped us understand. Again, we didn't take everything that we learned there as into how we created our parties then. And since then, we've learned a lot more. COVID made a lot of changes for us. We had to think about, we had various rules that government put in place. And so during COVID, Rochester had to be separated down the centre of the building. And I put a big barrier through it to make it happen. But we've got past that, and we're learning all the time. We now have at Rochester 7 different types of party, ranging from the standard parties up to the more niche parties, where we've got a UV party room now, and the kids get UV face paint as part of the package, and laser tag and food. And then we have gone all the way to, rather than having fixed packages, we've got a package where they can make their own party. And at first, that was quite a hard concept for us, because we want to be able to train our staff so that they just do it, and we don't have to worry about it. And so we had to set stages of the party that the parent, the customer, could pick what they wanted from it, and then we had to find a way to make that happen. We've succeeded, but it's not easy, and they are the hardest parties we do, but I think it's valued. So hope that's given you a nice insight.
Yes, very much so. And so, kind of looking back on how you did things, with the benefit of hindsight, I imagine that there are things that you can look at and say, like picking a location before you make an investment. What would your thoughts be about, comparing equipment and going to the location particularly? I guess I would say, can you tell us a little bit about the size of your attraction and how that then might have dictated how many equipment packs you actually needed? Did that align with what you had set up going, the other way around?
Yes. I mean, for me, I did it probably the wrong way around. I should have got the building first. I got the packs first. And I saw it at the time as I wanted it to be a class full of kids. So I, at Rochester, have got 28 packs. It's actually 27 plus 1, with the idea that it could be 3 groups of 9 playing up there, because Zone typically plays with 3 teams. And so that's why I had 27. With Whitstable, even though the site is fundamentally bigger, we actually have less packs there. We have 25 packs, so that's 24 plus one. And again, I'm pleased that we had the site first this time round, because we built the package that we needed for the lace tag packs to the building. The last thing you want to do is go out and buy 100 packs of very expensive equipment and then not have the building to be able to facilitate it, because people need player space. And there is a rule of thumb, which, again, in America, your real estate is a lot bigger than ours. Rochester is 4,000 square feet, and that's 2,000 downstairs, 2,000 upstairs in the arena. And Whitstable is 3,150 square feet on the downstairs, and the upstairs is changing regularly, because where I'm building my own arenas now, I can literally change it when I feel like it. And in fact, I was working on Whitstable today, building a new style of wall to put into the arena. So again, we learn what we're doing. So yeah, in terms of packs and in terms of brands, you definitely need to maybe go to a trade show. They're usually very good, because then you get to see a number of different laser tag brands. You'll also use the internet. It's one of the biggest things. Ask people on Facebook forums and that why they like their packs. I like Helios because it had the capability to do so much, so many different games, and it would keep the interest of the customer. So that's why I picked the Helios Pro. I know there were other versions of the Helios packs on the market at the time, but I went for the one that I could do the more with. That doesn't work for everyone. If you're looking to be more of a corporate brand, you're going to be using the same games rather than doing the more niche games. When I was looking at Laser Force, and again, I looked at other brands as well, I felt that Laser Force fitted my personality. That sounds weird, but I'm saying it fit my personality. I wanted to be able to be as flexible as possible, and Laser Force has got a lot of options. I'm not saying the other brands don't, but it worked for us. And it was easy then to pick that one, because it was so easy for my staff to be able to use the equipment quickly and get into games and make things happen, make it interesting for the customer. If it's hard to use or if it needs lots of maintenance, it's all taking your time away from making the money with the customer. So
now going back to the location and the size. So are you telling me you have two level arenas?
Yes. The first arena is actually we've built towers in the arena, and we found that multi-level arenas definitely play better. It becomes more of a three-dimensional puzzle for the players to play, and it becomes more immersive. People get more involved in the game, and you're not like just looking in front of you for the player, because the player could be above you or could be below you, and so you have to think a bit more tactically. And in Rochester, I'm on version 38 of my arena since I opened in 2016. And the reason being is I'm terrible for going into a game and finding what I would call a sweet spot, a good place to make loads of points. And because I do that, I think, well, my customers are going to do the same as well. So when I approach an arena, find these sweet spots, and then with my arenas, I actually try to close them off so they're not there anymore. So next time they come, to keep interest for customers, that bit of the arena will change. Again, it all costs money to do that, so you have to think about what you're going to do before you do it and plan for it. Plan time to do it as well. The last thing you want to be doing is repairing your arena to get it to where you want it to be and customers walking in the door. Done that, got t-shirts, not fun. But build yourself time in to make the changes, or get a contractor in to make the changes. Our first arena that the Zone put in for us literally went in about 3 days. Now, it wasn't painted at that point, and personally, we didn't want to paint it. But some of the other arenas do take time to paint as well, because it's got to have the painters come in, and it's whether they're available and stuff like that. With the second arena, we've not had a professional come paint it. We paint it ourselves. We build it ourselves, and I'm adding more to the second floor of that one. So I've taught myself how to build the towers and the mezzanines that were required for the arena. And I'm not saying you should do that as a person as well. If you're not handy, get someone in, because there are regulations that you need to be aware of. You need to make sure it's safe and that you can carry the level of customers that are going up there. Some of our early towers, we were quite shocked about how many people wanted to be on top of the tower. And so a tower that we thought, oh, yeah, only 1 or 2 people will be up there. We had 5 or 6 people up there. And so we realised that towers are a fun part of the game, and you do need them. You also need to think about underneath them as well. If you're going to get people walking underneath them, how do you mitigate them potentially hitting their head? You have to put signage up, make sure it's lit well. Think about your lighting. It's all of these little things all add to your arena. And so you build something new, and you're constantly refining it until you get it right.
I imagine that you probably face some different guidelines, perhaps, than some in the United States, where I feel like it's more common that arena designers come in and do that. And part of what they tend to bring to the package usually involves some theming. And it doesn't sound like you put as much focus on the painting and the theming, but perhaps I'm wrong. So tell me, what are your thoughts, particularly as you've seen 60 different arenas? What are your thoughts about the aesthetic of an arena?
It's an interesting question. It depends really on who you're aiming the arena at. If you're aiming the arena at adults, then yes, the theming side of it is very important, because the adults will spend more time noticing things. I originally started Battle Sector X with the idea of that it was going to be a space station. At the time, there'd been the film Ender's Game. And in Ender's Game, which has got Harrison Ford and Asa Butterfield in, brilliant film. They play laser tag in space. And they have a giant sphere, and they have shapes in it, and they have to shoot round them. And it inspired me that I wanted to do a space station. So my first one was very sort of, the walls were curved and tried to get it more interesting rather than just flat walls like I have seen in some laser tags. And in fact, I bought some props from the actual film, which didn't end up going in the arena, but it did inspire my original designer to have that sort of theme put up into the arena. And so in that film, there are different armies, and I have their logos in my arena. I've moved on a bit from there. So even though Battle Sector X Rochester is still a battle station, I'm trying to make it more unique. I'm not basing on anything now. I've seen some beautiful arenas all across the world that have, say, maybe a Star Wars theme or a jungle theme. And they're amazing, absolutely amazing. But the kids don't notice it. It's the adults that actually see what the arena is for. I proved that in the fact that with the Rochester Arena, I decided that I would put 3 superhero stickers in the arena. Now, these stickers weren't small stickers. They were 6 foot high by 4 foot. And there was 3 of them for the 3 bases. And in fact, they were actually in the bases. And I would ask kids what 3 superheroes, which they would have known, were up in the arena. I had Hulk, I had a Spider-Man, and I had an Iron Man. So there was the green, the blue, and the red base. They could not tell me. So it says to me they're more interested in the game and the immersive side of it than they are looking at parts of it. But I cannot say either way. You need to know your market as to what's going to work for you. If you've got a more adult market, then theming is very important. Making it look good. But it shouldn't, in my opinion, it shouldn't be sat there for 20 years the same, because people will do it once and then not want to come back. So they've done it once. They've learned how to use that arena. I changed the arena just to keep interest. And every time I have people come in, I want them to see something new. That way they can never get bored of it. So,
Absolutely.
In the first laser tag convention, I was quite happy to say that my returning customers, instead of being 2 out of 10, was definitely 4 to 5 out of 10. And it's because we were keeping the interest of the customer by changing it up. So,
what are some of the key milestones that you feel as an operator kind of indicate where you are in your goals or pattern of success with your business?
Okay, so key things. I think setting yourself a target financially, like what you're aiming to earn in a year, and be realistic with that one. Don't over target yourself. That's really nice, because when you see that you've pushed that envelope a little bit more, it's a positive. Staffing as well it's really important that you get the staffing right. And when you see the team growing and the team are then starting to train for you, that's a milestone forward as well. Rather than you having to do all the work, they are pushing your standards on how to make the business right and work well. And again, people are the most important part of your business. I have quite a rigorous interview process to make sure that I get the proactive, positive, fun-loving people that I need to make the parties the best they can be. And the other thing is another milestone is seeing that them repeat customers come back, and even them coming out of the game and saying, "Cool, that was good." That it might seem like a small thing, but you need to celebrate every success you can, because there's times when it's hard. So enjoy when you can. That's what I would recommend as your milestones: financial, staffing, and also repeat customers, because that's why you are in business, for the customers. And if they don't enjoy it, you're doing something wrong. So
I would agree with all of that. What has been the most valuable takeaway that you've found that you were able to apply to your business from either visiting other arenas or going to a trade show or an education event? What specific thing can you recall saying, "Wow, that's a really good idea," and implementing it?
Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, the first thing I would say is making the contacts, because the lace tag industry is quite a niche market, and so the people that are involved in it are very focused on what they do. I don't feel, unless they're a big corporate brand, that they haven't got a heart and soul in it. They have, and they keep pushing the envelope all the time. They work hard. So again, get some friends in the industry, because they will give you information as to where to go and see your next best thing. So yeah, get some people that can give you some good advice as well. Absolutely brilliant to help you move forward. What else would I recommend? I don't know. The key thing I found is knowing where your business is focused. One of the biggest things I did to start Rochester was to go and learn up at Leicester how to run a birthday party, because not every person can just go and do it. It's not something that you could just, oh, there's a party, go run it. If you're employing people like that, where you're not putting the input into them, they're not the customers are not going to have a good experience. The customers want to know that you understand how the laser tag works and that you're picking the right games for them, to keep interest. Because we have repeat customers that come in and they say, we'd like to do Color Conquest, or when I was using Zone, I want to use Powerball, or we even created our own game called Flash Tag, which we used for every party because it was harder and faster than the standard game, and they wanted to feel that they progressed in the sport as well. So
Very good. And before we move on to some rapid fire tag talk, is there any other piece of advice that you've learned along the way that you feel would be very valuable to share with other operators?
my key thing that I would share with other operators is celebrate your successes while you've got them, because tomorrow is a different day. Make friends, not just as customers, because they can be useful as well, but as colleagues and as competitors as well. I walk into a lace tag now and feel that people help drive my business forward. And if I see good things in their lace tags, hopefully I can take it to become part of my lace tag.
Definitely. And there's a lot of support out there to share the wealth of advice. And so operators, connecting with other operators, I think is very valuable as well. And I appreciate you taking some time to share.
I was going to say, there are some
Yes.
operators that have been in the industry a lot longer than I have. For instance, coming back to just before COVID, I was at the Lace Tag convention in New Orleans, and I met Devore down in Maitre D, and he is a wealth of knowledge. What that gentleman doesn't know about lace tag, it's not worth knowing. But he helped me understand why something will be done in a particular way, and that's a good learning tool for you, because at the end of the day, you then become the teacher of your staff. So yeah, people really do help push your business on and make it better, and the customers do too, particularly if you have enthusiastic ones like yourself.
Well, I love it. I hope at some point, perhaps I get to visit one of your arenas in the United Kingdom. But in the meantime, hearing about what you've done has been terrific, and I appreciate your time. And I always like to wrap things up with a little rapid fire tag talk with some quick questions to you and some quick answers back. You game?
Yes, Ted, totally.
All right. Besides your own, what has been your favorite laser tag arena to visit?
Maitre D.
Okay. What has been the most memorable thing that you've ever seen in an arena?
Up in Toledo, I love the lights changing with the game. I think that's awesome. The DMX lighting. So whoever's winning, their color is in the center of the arena. Brilliant. Absolutely great.
What's your favorite snack at the concession stand?
I'm a hot dog fan.
Okay.
It might be an English thing, but I prefer the hot dogs. I'm not a big pizza fan. We were going to do pizzas. We decided not to, but yeah, hot dog.
What's your favorite brand of "we never run in the arena" shoes? Or do you run in the United Kingdom?
No, we don't. We don't.
What's your favorite shoe brand?
Well, I'm going to say Nike is probably the one to go for. They're comfortable to wear. Personally, I've only ever had a couple brands of Nike because they're expensive and you've got to look after them. And laser tag can be a little bit brutal at the points.
Isn't that the truth?
You need a good shoe, definitely a good shoe.
I have worn down more than one pair for sure.
Yes. Yep.
All right. And best reason to play laser tag at Battle Sector X?
No game is the same. I know that sounds weird, but we try to make the game work for the customers that we've got in at the time. And each game has different customers in. So we need to make sure that it fits for them. You might have a game with 3 people in, or you might have a game with 20 people in. But at the end of the day, if they walk out and that was a great game, we've made it. That's laser tag for us, is when they've had a great time, they come out sharing. Even if they're different groups of people, they want to talk to each other afterwards. That's brilliant.
That's a great note to end on right there. And I want to thank you again for your time. That is my guest, Gavin Taylor, owner of Battle Sector X with locations in Rochester and Whitstable in the United Kingdom. Thank you so much for sharing your advice with potential operators and the story of your business as well. Thank you, Gavin.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Laser Unfocused Tag Talk. Listen for more episodes on the first and third Friday of each month. Want to be a guest on an upcoming episode? Find out more and follow my blog and website at TiviaChickLovesLaserTag.com.